want to thank everybody for joining us today here on UORadio's Talk Show, show number, I believe, 45. Or is it? I'm not even sure. I think this is show number 48. I've lost track of what show it is. But I do want to welcome each and every one of you guys here on Saturday, oh my God, Saturday, December 9th, 2006. And this is episode number 48. And I, of course, as always, has a bunch of special guests with me. You probably know them already. That would be Arjuna and Lord Chaos. So I'm going to go ahead and give them each an opportunity to basically introduce themselves, and then we will get started with our discussions for this afternoon. Before we do, I want to wish each and every one of you also a wonderful, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know I did, and hopefully you guys did too. So with that said, Arjuna, did you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and what show do you play on?
Hi, Viceroy. Yeah, this is Arjuna from Lake Superior, and I'm sure most of us wish that we could live the same 2 or 3 months over and over again till we get it right. So, maybe it's a good thing that you get to live September to December over.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. All right. So let's. What did you say? You're from Lake Superior, by the way?
Yeah, from Lake Superior. I've been there for, 7.5 years or so. Been playing Ultima for a long time, 24 years, I guess. But Lake Superior since 7.5, maybe it could be 8 years now. And I'll probably be there as long as it exists.
Wow, yeah, that is a long time and everything. I know I've been playing since about December 2nd, 1997 there, and that's been on Chesapeake all these years. So, yeah, kudos to you for being around that long and everything, because I know there's not too many of us left. Lord Chaos, go ahead and tell us what shard you're from and say hello to everybody out there.
Hello, this is Lord Chaos from Europa Shard, and since we don't celebrate Thanksgiving where I live, I didn't have a Thanksgiving, but yeah, I'm European and I played on Europa Shard.
Yeah, naturally. Unless you're over here playing on Siege Peerless or something like that. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the first topic this afternoon and everything. Let's talk about what are some of the things you are hoping for to see within the new UORKR, UOKR client. I'm all shook up today, as you can probably tell. Go ahead, Lord Chaos. Let's hear from you.
Well, some more adult content. No, just kidding. Well, I definitely hope they will make a drastic overhaul to how the game works, and take this golden opportunity to really go everything through step by step. Now that they are totally overhauling all the graphics and such like that, and I hope they'll make interfaces that makes the game easier to understand and play, and easier to access, like information on your stats, on your armor and weapons. I hope they'll reduce the amount of mods that are, take a few of the most unpopular ones out, give us like a listing, just like you have the skills, where you can go and see what do you have in all the different kind of mods, and what's the limit, and what's the effect. That would be great. That way anybody who PvPs or PvMs can easily see what's the effect of putting this armor on. And what about this armor? What about this ring? What about this jewelry? And so on and so forth. On that, I also hope that they'll take the opportunity to overhaul quite a few of the basic systems as well. Storage system, housing, virtues, especially virtues, but I won't go too far into that, but just say that it's a sad state of affairs when you have a game that is based on virtues, and it's such sad state of disarray, and half of them don't work. Other than that, I just hope that it doesn't get rejected by the players. that would be sad.
Yeah, maybe they'll slide the remaining virtues that haven't been taken care of yet with UOKR and call it new content. Go ahead, Arjuna. Let's hear from you.
Thank you. Well, besides the graphic overhaul, which by the look of it will be, excellent. I noticed a lot of players enjoy the mechanics of Ultima Online, assisted by other legal programs that do things like count bandages, count arrows, things like that. I'd like to see that actually become part of the client. I'd like to see superior maybe use of bandages on others, like maybe just making it a skill. Also, some of the mechanics that Lord Chaos touched on, maybe making it so that people don't accidentally drop stuff anymore. I was reading that if you double-click a lantern, now you drop a lantern, but that's just one thing of many, where apparently if your pack is full and you disarm, there's so many things that make you drop things you don't want to drop. I'd like people to be able to, not have to lose things that they like. But I like also that Lord Chaos brought up the virtues, but the thing that I would throw in about virtues is if they make virtues inherent to the game, they need to make anti-virtues inherent to the game too. Because just like the lore in Ultima, where you have several episodes of Ultima learning about the virtues, you then have the flip side where maybe the Guardian would try to teach people things that sound like virtues but are not, and that people could follow whichever one that they want. And I know that role-playing is part of Ultima, and there are people right now who will play anti-virtues instead of virtues. I'd like to see that all become part of it. And if there are virtues that give you skills, I'd like to see anti-virtues that give you skills. And that would just be fantastic if they brought that in with Kingdom Reborn.
Yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to anti-virtues or something that is basically what I find most disturbing is that really all the virtues we have in the game right now are pretty much for the good and not so much for the evil. So for someone who, like me, for example, who likes to role-play the villain or role-play the bad guy or whatever, I can't really quite do that and really get the full Ultima lore out of it, that I am somehow, following the darkness or something like that, that there's, some kind of substance behind it or something like that, or there's some kind of reason for my actions or something, or something, something that I can follow, like when Lord Blackthorn was around, which was the Chaos Order. I was pretty much following, the chaos. I supported chaos over order, and that we don't have that anymore. We don't have order, or chaos, or anything like that anymore. And also, with the new UOKR client, what I specifically hope to see out of that is whenever you go to, for example, your chat or your chat screen or whatever, how you normally do chat now, I'm kind of hoping that we'll have chat windows or something like that, because I would love to have a chat window, specifically for guild chat, and a chat window for party chat, and a guild in a chat window for the general area chat. So that way, because what happens from time to time is that, let's say I'm parked over at the West Bank or Luna, for example, and I have to get up and step away from my computer for whatever reason, and I come back. Well, guess what? All them messages I just saw, got any messages that was set in party or guild chat or whatever else, I just missed, because it just got flooded out of the screen by all the spam going on over at Luna or the West Britain Bank. So I never even once got to see the party message or the guild message. So I just totally missed out on all that. So that's something I'd like to be able to actually separate rather than having it all go into one journal. Plus, with the journal that we have right now, it's really hard to read, especially when people are using different colors. Another thing is if we had like a guild chat window, we could perhaps maybe even private message people in our guild or something like that, which would enable maybe us an option to start sending private messages to people. What I think would be really cool is if we could like leave offline messages for our guild mates, whenever they're not on. Let's say, for example, a guild master or something wants to send a message out to everybody and say, hey, we got an upcoming event for, say, Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern, be there or be square, So, that would be kind of cool, too, to be able to do something like that. Another cool thing that I'm kind of hoping for is, like, for example, I am not sure what they call it. I can't remember what the system's called. But whenever you go into that library over in Britain, you trade in all those stuff for, points so you can redeem it for other items. Well, you know how it's click, 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 click all the time? Well, hopefully with the new user interface and everything, that'll become a lot more simplistic. Also, whenever you, do anything with your guild roster, let's say you're a guild master or whatever, you modify anything or whatever, well, guess what? You start right back at the starting screen for the guild roster rather than where you left off at. And I don't really like that, I don't really like having to go, start from the beginning and then have to go find them again just to update their title again. Let's say they are a Ronin, and I want to make them an emissary. Well, guess what? I have to go click up there, then scroll through the list, and then find them again, then click on their name, and then upgrade them again, and then repeat the process all over again. And I just don't like that. I mean, I want to be able to immediately define what role they're going to have, like what's their title. I mean, I shouldn't have to click, 500 times just to give somebody emissary status or something like that. That's just inconvenience and everything right there, and I hope a lot of that gets resolved with the new UOKR client, because really the whole UOKR client is going to be a graphical upgrade. It's going to be a user interface upgrade. So I mean, that's the kind of things we can look forward to with UOKR, for the most part. I'm sure they'll add in some other content as well, like maybe a new race or something like that, or new craftables. But other than that, the biggest part of it's going to be graphical upgrades and interfacing upgrades, I would imagine. Lord Cass, go ahead. I think you were next.
Well, first I would like to say that I completely agree with you, and it goes into the whole overhauling all the systems, because there's a lot of this that just really shows that it's aged and there's much better systems out there. I would like to see chat in Windows as well. We have that in Linux too, and it's great, and other games has it as well. I would like to still retain the speech above your head as well, because that kind of gives the illusion that people are really talking. But separated windows would be great, and PMs would be great. It should be limited to friends. You can make a friend list, and to guildmates. Then simply have like an interface box that comes up, and just click a button that says PM, and you can PM and leave the messages and such. That would work around the whole unique name thing that UO doesn't have. We're one of the few games that don't have unique names. Other than that, I lost track of my thoughts, so I'm going to pass it on to Arjuna.
All right, go ahead, Arjuna.
Thank you. Lord Cass, I thought I knew what you were going to say, too, and I also forgot what you were going to say. Viceroy, I definitely agree with you on the journal. I almost forgot how bad the journal is in the game, because I currently use UO Assist to change the colors for me, but it is very non-functional. I think that there's a legal product called UO Journal that will take a journal, and you can select the background, and you can say that, friends will be certain colors, and other people will be other colors, and enemies will be other colors, and you can actually configure the journal to have different colors. I think they should have something like that in the client itself, where they should have something where if a guildmate is talking to you, then you can select what color it is and make it visible, so that even if you have one journal for the Luna Bank, then you can see in the journal with things that you can read. And also filters. UOJournal has filters. They should have filters so that if you don't want to see the message, I see a dog, then filter that from the journal. Or all names. Make it so that when you do all names, you don't suddenly lose your journal. With regard to the library quests, yeah, that is definitely a sore point of mine. There's a million clicks to get, literally a million clicks to get some of those things in the library quest. And, either they're going to need to make it less clicks, or like less items to get your Mason Shield glasses or something like that, or they're going to have to let you macro like UAssist does, where you say, give me 10 of this item. I don't want to craft just one. I want to craft 10. And then if they were going to work that into crafting, then you could say that I'm going to be in battle mode where I'm equipping an army and I create 10 at a time, or you can be in night mode or king mode where I'm going to spend a day, I'm making it up, not a day, but like a long time, making one fantastic item, so that you can control the quality of the item by how much time you take, but make it so that you can kick out bulk items, because the game has bulk items. Also, I'm glad it was brought up about those long menus, because there is a bug in house menus right now where if there's over 20 people on your access list and you want to remove access, you cannot do that. And if they're really redoing that client, the same way that the guild menu has a problem with large guilds, houses have problems with large houses. You cannot remove someone from access if you have over 20 people without wiping your whole list. Well, that needs to be fixed. So, new client, time to fix it.
Yeah, that would get annoying after a while. And another thing I kind of hope to see with the UOKR client is maybe the resolution size. I mean, because right now I think the biggest resolution option we have is 800 by 600. I mean, we can't go 1024 by 768 or anything like that or higher. So really, I'm kind of curious to see whether we're going to have a bigger resolution options to choose from, or whatever. Lord Chaos, did you want to comment on that or something?
Yeah, I totally agree that the resolution should be expandable. Considering how modern day MMORPGs are, UO has a terrible limitation because it's isomeric. So you can only see a very, very small area of the world whenever you're moving around. The Ricardo trial kind of showed how that was, because even people being seated very, very close couldn't see half of the things going on because it was outside of their screen. It's just not very good. And also when players come to UO from outside and they have high resolutions like 2056 or 1600 times 1200, UO is going to be like a tiny, tiny, tiny little window up in the left corner that you can barely see what's going on. So hopefully they'll figure something out there. Preferably, actually, they should make like a maximum, extend the maximum range that a client can do, and then make it so that you can actually, if you have lower resolutions, you are able to move the screen around to look without moving yourself. So in situations where you're, for instance, hidden and spying on someone, you could move this, even though you might not have the huge resolution to extend your view as far out, you can still move the screen down there to look. That would get around that issue with people with very high resolutions being able to see more than somebody with like 1024 times 768 resolution.
All right, what I would like to quickly ask all the listeners out there right now over in our IRC chat, just exactly what type of resolution you guys use, because I'm really curious as to what resolution or what's the size of your monitor and what you typically use. I know, for example, whatever I use at my computer, I'm always in 1024 by 768, and so I'm kind of wanting to get a good general idea of what everybody's preferred resolution size is in a lot of cases. So go ahead and tell me what your resolutions are for your computer. Go ahead, Arjuna, and then we'll go over to Lord Chaos. Go ahead, Arjuna.
Thank you, Viceroy. Well, I guess I'll start with my resolution that I play with is 1920 by 1080, and I play on a 40-inch screen. And even on a 40-inch screen, the characters are quite small at 1920 by 1080. And so, yeah, I would like them to adjust for resolution, but I think there's, like you said, two things. One is viewable area. I would like to be able to expand the viewing area to be a larger part of my screen instead of this tiny piece of my screen. And then I'd like to have the equivalent of the ability to zoom so that everything can be bigger, so that maybe I'm seeing the equivalent of 800 by 600 now, but filling twice the pixels or 4 times the pixels. And I think that Kingdom Reborn can do that because they're going to be changing the graphics. And with regard to, I like that thing that Lord Chaos said about being able to look further, like scaling the center. And I just wanted to mention that actually is in keeping with Ultima, because I remember there was some kind of bird's eye spell or something like that, where you could cast a spell and it would move where you're seeing off until you're done looking, and you could spy around, and that would be a good feature to bring back.
40-inch monitor, damn, that's overkill. I thought I had a pretty decent monitor, and you put my monitor to shame with that resolution size. I got a 17-inch monitor here. Lord Chaos, go ahead. Let's hear from you.
Well, I actually have 60-inch LCD TV and a 42-inch LCD TV. I could play UO on, but I don't usually. I do have several different resolutions. Usually I like playing in 1200 times 1024. I do have a widescreen monitor right here to the left of me, which is 1400 times 1050. And sometimes on the smaller laptops I'll play, if I don't have, or my wife is using the bigger laptop and I'm out about, I might play in 1024 times 768. Other than that, about the viewable area and bird's eye view and stuff like that, that's actually pretty fascinating. You could expand that quite a lot and solve a whole bunch of problems by allowing the area to be, or the viewing part to be more free instead of just being force-centered on the character. You could define and say, well, the maximum viewable a character can see is such and such resolution, and within that resolution you can move the screen around or have your monitor so high resolution you can see all of it at once. And then you could have it so that if you, for instance, do have something like a bird's eye view spell or some sort of spying ability or stuff like that, then you could extend your view even further, and it would kind of center to a spell point that you can move around and view things, or like a little spying thing that you can have on a guildmate that sneaks in a place and you can view what he's seeing and stuff like that. And in fact, I'll touch on this later if we get to the topic, but doing this would also solve a big problem with newbie characters playing. By more separating the whole view the screen thing, you can also allow people who are helping newbie characters or new players coming into the game through a special system. They can allow you to view what you're doing. Because if there's one thing that's really hard, it's teaching new people to play this game. Especially because they change the interface quite a lot, and it'll be different for new players joining than somebody who has the interface set up like 6 years ago. And I've tried that, and it's a pain in the rear to try and teach people to play this game, because you don't know half of the things they're doing. Like, for instance, I had a woman joining, and she was trying to set up her skill, and it totally changed the skill groups than they were like 6-7 years ago. So I was saying, oh, and you go onto this group and this group, there's no such group, and like, oh, damn it. So that would be some really cool things you could do with that feature. Sorry for getting so long-winded.
No problem. We all get a little long-winded here. But anyways, you know, and here's something, you know, I've seen on player run shards and everything. And why do I know about these player run shards? Because my brother and cousins, they play on them. So I mean, I go over there and visit them, and I see them play on these player run shards and everything. And I do see, you know, the ability to for them to be able to private message their friends over in those games. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, why does Ultima Online not have this? And, you know, I'm paying my $12.99 or whatever it is a month, and I don't even have this. Well, why does this, you know, this player run shard have it, and why do I not have it on mine? You know, that's what I'm always thinking to myself at the end of the day. So I do hope private messaging is an option for them whenever UOKR comes out. All right, Judah, go ahead.
Thanks. I just wanted to add that I agree with Lord Chaos that it's difficult to try to walk a new player through something and to walk them through the mechanics. I probably think that the answer would be in just making things more intuitive, making it easier for people to know what their own skills do. I have friends who have been playing for over a year now, and I find out that they don't really even know about their own spells and their own skills, and I end up having to tell them, oh, you should cast this or you should cast that. Why don't they know? Because it's not intuitive. It is not, the details are not built into the game. And unless people are sitting there every day reading forums or something, they don't know everything about their own characters. Now, with regard to being able to take over someone else's point of view and maybe see their own pack, the only thing I don't like about that is that can be abused by with a steal skill, where if someone can see your pack, let's say something happens where they can do it without permission or whatever, if they can see your pack, then they can get items that are normally protected. They can get it on last target and steal it by last target. But other than that, I agree, ways to help new players is essential.
All right, Lord Chaos, and then after this, we're going to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to touch on that again because the idea with it wasn't to just allow anybody to do so. And it probably should only be available maybe just to counselors if they ever get reintroduced, or it can only be done with young characters that have joined in the game. In any way, it shouldn't be something that can be abused in any other way, and it should be fairly locked and very limited in how it can be used. It should be solely aimed at helping new players, nothing else. Anything else, you're right, it can be abused, and that's why I only want it for new players, because there's a lot of concepts that are just really hard to explain in this game, especially since this game is so fluent. There's so many different little things. It just doesn't fit into boxes like they do in other games. Heck, even trying to explain the inventory can be hard for people who are used to playing other games like WoW or Lineage 2 or anything else like that, where everything is like neatly in little boxes instead. And yes, it will help to make if you make it more intuitive, but you forget that UO is a game that's not tiered. It isn't tiered like other games, which have levels to tier up the content. Everything in the game is more or less available to starting characters as long as they just train up some skills. Just about anything, you can go most places, do most things. There's a lot of complex things available to the newbie character just coming into the game. Is overwhelming and very, very hard for them to do. And I think that makes a lot of people leave, even though the game has so much to offer, simply because they're used to other MMORPGs these days simply just taking you out, well, you're level 1 and you know what to do. You have to go out and level up and do quests. Everybody knows that concept nowadays, and that's what they judge it by. And when they get into UO, they just sit there, what am I supposed to do? How do I do anything? How do I level? They just don't know anything. So I think that would be a great help.
Yep. I totally agree. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go over to the next topic in which we have here. We're going to be talking about the trial of Ricardo. I don't know how many of you guys here have actually participated in that, but hopefully a lot of you guys is. I know we were over on Origin a few days ago actually covering the event live on UORadio and everything, and I remember being on the outside and having Joe Pam on the inside telling me exactly what all was going on, and basically doing a recap and covering it and having her sit here and talk with me about it on air and all that good stuff. It was actually pretty great and everything. I'm not really too sure exactly where Ricardo was taken, or what's going to, if there's the appeal process. And quite frankly, I think the whole system was biased to where he was going to be found guilty regardless of, whether he did something wrong or not. That's how it seemed to me based on what I saw last night. Go ahead, Lord Cass. Let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think it was interesting. They threw in a little moral twist to it. Is it right for us to judge somebody who stole and endangered people, especially since that's how the game and the world works. We run around stealing things from mobs all the time. It was very, very interesting. So I was a little skeptical about this trial of Ricardo thing, but it turned out to be really great, and it seemed like the developers were testing out a lot of new tools and scripting for NPCs, which I can see a lot of use for. In quests, in basic NPCs you meet on the street, now all of a sudden they can have like scripted behavior towards you instead of it just being, just click on the context menu and that's about it. Or the yelling NPCs in Hardwood, which we all want to kill. And it gave a lot of insight into what they can do with the scripting tools in terms of having NPCs interact with each other, which in turn gives a great tool for events, for advanced quests, and so on and so forth. And heck, maybe it even has a PvP in some sense aspect to it, and can be used to enhance Felucca some way, or what the heck knows. But it will be great. I liked it. I liked the trial itself. It was pretty well written. And while I got thrown out on Origin and missed the trial, since the client crashed, I did get to see it on Europa, so that was good. And I want to thank Draconia and all the other guys for making this event. It was great.
Yeah, it definitely was a great event, but there was a few things that I saw a lot of people griping about with regards to this event, and that was not being able to communicate with their guild chat system. You could, however, communicate with the party system, and you could communicate with the in-game chat system that built into it that kind of looks like IRC, which is not, which I think they should make into like an IRC. But, you know, my thing, and also the other thing I observed that people were griping about, it was not being able to stable their mounts. You know, we had a banker outside the court. We also had, so I mean, because you had to disarm, you had to dismount, and all that good stuff before you could go in the courtroom. Well, you know, there was no tamer, no stable, or tamer or animal tamer to stable our mounts with, you know, during the duration of the event. So some people just chose not to attend the event at all because they didn't have nowhere to stable their mounts. So those were pretty much the two little things I found problems with whenever I was there. I don't know why the guild chat was you know, muted or whatever. Perhaps that was a bug, but I really hope they get that fixed if they ever plan to do any more events, anything like this in the future. Go ahead, Lord Chaos. Let's hear from you about it.
Well, I see all of these as minor issues. I think these are things they'll iron out eventually, hopefully. I thought actually there was a stapler there, but maybe not. But then again, people could really just have used a recall rune and gone to town and stabled it, or used like Charge of the Fallen or any other kind of stuff. I mean, I had no problem going in there. I mean, there was a banker outside, so I just dismounted my charger and threw a few things in the bank, and in I went. I mean, it's not that huge of a deal. I could see the problem with people who have filled stable slots, but I would actually hope they would fix that in another way, and that is to fix the whole stable slot thing, which has been kind of too limited since ages ago. The other issues with, I don't know, guild chat, I guess if you really needed it during that time, that would have been great. I hope they can fix that. I hope they'll fix the issues with people casting chivalry spells and other things that made noises in the middle of the room, or drinking poison and other stuff. But I can see how this would be a very monumental, complicated task to do, to limit all these things. But I think they're on it. They did fix quite a few things since the opening trial, so I have faith that they can do it, and will do it, hopefully.
Yeah, another cool thing that I thought was pretty cool, whenever the magistrate came into the courtroom, or better known as the judge in some countries, everybody rose up at the same time and seated at the same time, which was pretty awesome, you know, seeing just that alone, you know, because before the magistrate came in, everybody was seated, and then when the judge came in, the guard was like, all rise. Everybody just rose up out of their chairs, and you know, once the judge was seated, or whatever, the magistrate was seated, well, then everybody else sat down. That part was kind of awesome. Let's go ahead and hear from you, Arjuna.
Thanks. Originally I wasn't going to say anything about it because I respect and appreciate all the things that were mentioned about that they were testing new mechanics and trying to come up with new AIs and interactions with NPCs and things like that. But well, first of all, last night I was in game from 9 to 10:30, which I think is when the trial was. But I was at a guild meeting, and I heard a few messages. But I had guild chat. But the main thing is the things like having to disarm and dismount and be forced to raise and to sit. As a role player, I don't like that for a few reasons. Sometimes people want to role play a guard, so I've been to several trials in Ultima, and sometimes I sit if I'm playing a character that's respectful, but sometimes I'm playing a character that's not respectful of the trial. And yeah, I don't spam it by saying anything, but one of the things I do to show that I don't respect it is I stand and I hold a weapon. And Ultima Online should not force virtue down my throat. If I'm playing an anti-virtue, if I'm playing a villain, then I should be allowed to do that. I absolutely agree and respect, and I'm grateful for the things that they're trying to do. But there's a few things that I would like to have, and that's free will. Free will to disagree, free will to show disrespect without spamming, without casting spells, all that stuff. And I don't know, that's my opinion, I guess.
Well, you could have done what I did, which is get naked. Get naked in the courtroom. But anyways, let's go ahead and hear from Lord Chaos.
Yeah, I think you're being, I can totally understand where you're coming from, Arjuna. I just think you're being a bit unrealistic here. You can't, there's no way these kind of events can distinguish intent. And as long as they can't do that, you can't allow this. You know, this would be something you would have on large-scale events or EM events or anything like that, or player-run events. I would rather see some, and this system could be used in player-run events too, you know, having NPCs that can do more cool stuff in player-run events. But during events such as these, you need to have a control. That's just needed. Yes, you want to be an anti-virtue person, but the system can't distinguish you. It can't tell whether you're just a 13-year-old punk that just like to just be an ass, or whether you're a role player. It can't distinguish between the two. So you just can't allow these things, no matter how nice it would be. I would love it too, and it would be nice to be able to be totally free and just stand up and say, "Free Ricardo," or something like that, but that would just turn into Draconi sucks, suck my balls, and other kind of stuff like that. That's what it would turn into, really. It would, you know. We all know that. We know how people are once you start getting large crowds together. They just stand there being annoying. So, yeah, I agree with you. I just don't think in these types of events that you can allow that degree of freedom. Sadly, no. But like I said, these tools could, in the future, bring things to role-playing communities. And actually, I do hope with UOKR, actually, that the development team will look into giving more to, or helping more out for those who want to role play and make interesting things themselves, and maybe even make it easier for them, for the role players to actually interact with other non-role players without it being totally disrupted and ruined.
Yeah, well, here's my whole thought about that, is what I really enjoyed about the whole thing is just going in the courtroom and totally stripping down in the courtroom, and the person next to me couldn't even get away. Yes, I love that. Yep, you ain't going nowhere, buddy. But anyways, go ahead, Arjuna, let's hear from you.
Okay, thanks. I guess I'll concede that there are times that it could be like the proverbial cut screen in a game where, you know, you're playing the game and all of a sudden it cuts to a video and now you're really just watching, you're not playing. And I guess I'm fine with that concept if it's where people are truly just being a spectator, and then what they see then becomes the kickoff to a new action. But you know, hopefully you said they were casting spells. Hopefully everyone is invulnerable if they're forced to be disarmed also in case people attack each other.
Yeah. Well, you know, and going back to the whole courtroom and everything, it's just pretty, I do like what you said, Arjuna, about individuality and stuff like that, not having something shoved on you or forced upon you. That's my argument once again, you know, about game development is how game developers try to dictate how you're going to participate in an event or something like that, or what your role is going to be in an event. I mean, like for example, this whole trial should have been, in my opinion, decided by players for the most part. And if it's not this event, hopefully in the future, players will have a much greater role in an event like this, like, judge and jury and all that. And, I don't believe that, something like this ought to be, scripted or whatever, pretty much. But go ahead, Lord Chaos.
Well, again, you're looking at it from a utopic point of view. In real life, this works. Why? Because in real life, you can judge people's intent. You can know what's going on. You can see when people react, what they do, and there'll be punishment and repercussions for it. There aren't such things in a game. That's why good versus evil don't really work in a game, because there's not enough repercussion for evil, and there's no kind of moral judgment. That's extremely hard to do. And as for, it would be great if players could be the judges, or not the judges, but the jury in this trial. But then there would only be 12 players who would get it, and you will see people whining about, I didn't get to be jury member, why couldn't I be part, it sucks, they delivered another verdict that nobody else liked, because they just like being asses, or whatnot. Heck, there were people complaining that they couldn't even get into the trial room. So, and again, you would need a human hand there to moderate the whole thing, or else you just get people who get on the jury and say, you suck, your mom, and all that kind of 13-year-old behavior in the jury stand, which would completely destroy the immersiveness of the event. So, as much as I'd like to see these things, it belongs in a utopic MMORPG that just simply doesn't exist. There simply is no human judgment in a computer game. It just doesn't happen. The computer can't figure these things out. Hopefully, that could be something that could be run by EMs or players. Now, then it could be great. And you can have like a human hand judging the whole thing and keeping order. But otherwise, I just don't think it'll work, no matter how great it was. And then I have a little comment to it as well. Why the hell was the courtroom clerk wearing a ninja jacket? Yeah, only in Euro.
Well, maybe they came from Takudo. Who knows? Go ahead, Arjuna.
Thanks. Just to tie in a previous conversation with this, if they did develop a bird's eye spell, or maybe saying detect hidden lets you see distance, or maybe making some item instead of a talking crystal that lets you talk, talking crystal that lets you hold it and see what's at the location of the other crystal, they could actually then, for the people who can't get into the courtroom, they could hand out crystals or have locked down a crystal that if you double-click it will let you see and hear as if you were in the courtroom until you click out of it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. And, something else I'm kind of wondering about is, we kind of talked about UOKR and everything earlier. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have to zoom in and zoom out control like we do in UO3D or not. That's going to be kind of interesting to see whether we get that or not. But let's go ahead and move on along to our next topic here, and we're going to be talking about the no-drop, no-trade system introduced into the game with regards to event items on shards. So let me ask you this: do you think there ought to be a no-drop or no-trade rule on event items from shard to shard? Because let's look at it this way. Well, I'll just go ahead and let you guys talk first, and then I will chime in and give my little opinion after that. Lord Chaos, go ahead.
Well, I think it should be more fine-tuned. There should be, if it's truly a shard-specific event item, like Best Europa Spelling Bee or something weird like that, then, I shouldn't be able to leave the shard. Not even on the original character. That just doesn't make sense, really. Otherwise, if it's non-specific, I don't mind it being moved. The no trade thing, I think that should be changed so it's no trade. It can be selected again unless it's name specific or to a specific character. It should be able to be traded to other character on the same account at least. There's nothing like getting a nice cool sword on a crafter or something. That's I mean, then it sucks. Other than that, I'm a little torn on that issue, and I guess I'm okay with it since I don't have any event items, but I guess you kind of need to have some sort of control over the event items and people duping them and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much the issue of duping that I'm getting at. It's the fact. First of all, what does no drop mean? No drop means you cannot even drop the item on the ground. I would imagine the same applies when it comes to dropping the item in, say, a secure container or whatever. That means this item's always on you, meaning it takes up one space in your backpack at all times, or it uses up a slot on your character. So, I mean, that automatically right there is going to take you down from being able to hold, let's say you don't want to wear it. Automatically it's going to prevent you from carrying 125 items. That means your max items that you can carry now is 124. And then so you're actually being robbed of one little item slot, that you carry around with you because of this. And I mean, I know that doesn't seem like a big deal or whatever, but let's just say you start getting about 10 of these no drop items on you and everything, or on a specific character. Well, then guess what? Over time, you ain't going to have no room to put anything in your backpack, because over the years and everything, after all these events, if you're really lucky and fortunate to get all these items, well, guess what? You are just not going to have anywhere to put stuff, because you're not going to be able to drop it. You're not going to be able to trade it or anything of that nature. So, I mean, that's what I gather from this. Also, what's the deal with this? I mean, why is it... And here's something else they said about this. They said this is not going to be a trend in the future or anything. Well, the way I look at it this way is Pandora's box has already been opened. What's to stop them from doing something like this for other items in the future? What's to stop them from doing this for anything else that they feel that should not be traded or dropped or anything of that nature? Once again, this is just a clear indication of what I'm getting at whenever I say developers are dictating what you can do with your items. Now, personally, I don't think it is right for anybody to say what I can do with my items, whether I can drop my items, whether I can trade my items, or whether I can exchange my items. I pay my money every month, and I ought to be able to do whatever I want with my items. Don't give me some rules that tells me what I can and what I can't do with my items. I mean, I earned the item fair and square, or purchased the item fair and square, regardless. And this has been going on for how many years, or about 1 or 2 years, prior to all this, and this is somehow something, that's supposed to rectify all the problems of the past. No, it doesn't fix the problems of the past, because any items that's ever gotten traded in the past, they're still in the current owner's hand, or whoever's got it now. So, I mean, yeah, this only addresses future problems. So, no, I very much do not like this. I do not like it when a developer dictates what a player can do with his or her items, or what a player can do, period. Arjuna, let's hear from you.
Thanks. If a developer wants to give an item that cannot be traded and cannot be given away, then the item should be a title. The item should be a tattoo. The item should be something that actually becomes part of the character. It doesn't make sense for it to be an item. And there's several reasons. One is, I agree with you that, now you can only carry 124 items. The other is that these items, we're in the age of shadows, where you have to be able to wear clothing. You have to be able to wear clothing with resists and mods and things like that. And you have to have good weapons. So what are you going to do? Are you going to carry around junk because the junk is the only one on the shard? If they want to give a talisman or a reward or a medal, well, then they need to have another slot on the paper doll to hold the items that don't interfere with the things that you need to live. I also I'm against dropping on the ground by accident stuff. So I don't have a problem with not dropping it on the ground. It doesn't make sense not to be able to either put it in a secure or give it to another person. And one of the reasons is the same way I'm opposed to designing a game against, like let's say that, let's pretend they did this because of duplication. Well, they're taking away good stuff in penalty of people who do bad things. Well, then that penalizes the people who don't do the bad things. So, and let's say they say, well, I don't want someone to sell this for 10 million gold or 30 million gold or more. Well, what about the people who want to give it as a gift? Being able to give something valuable and rare to another person as a gift is essential. In a previous talk show, Viceroy, you had talked about the price of castles. Well, a friend gave me a castle free one time, and then I gave the castle away free. Sometimes something, just because it's worth 100 million gold or $2,000 or whatever it is, sometimes being able to give it is an important part of the game. And so if you happen to have something that's the only one in the shard and you want to give it, to be able to take that ability away is to take away something beautiful out of fear of someone doing something bad.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And let's just say, for example, because I can get exactly where you're going with this, because if you look at Paxslayer, for example, over on Chesapeake, which is a large player-run city over on Chesapeake, it's been there since 1998 and everything, and let's just say, Winfield, a Paxslayer, decided he was going to quit Ultima Online and that he was going to hand over the reins to somebody else. These blessed establishments that have been recognized by Lord British himself and everything, and stuff like that. Now, let's say if he was to want to turn over these establishments over to someone else. I know this has nothing to do with the, establishments or whatever, or houses or anything of that nature, but this is pretty much the same argument being made with regards to event items, because it's unique or that it's been, given to him by a event moderator, that somehow it's more significant than any other item in the game, and so you're not allowed to trade this, you're not allowed to get rid of it or whatever else. So I don't like that. And plus, at the end of the day, where does this concept of no drop, no trade come from? Let's think about it, folks. Where does this concept come from? I'll tell you where it comes from. World of Warcraft. So don't tell me this isn't going to be a trend that we don't see. Because this idea right here comes from World of Warcraft, folks. And once again, this just proves what I've been saying all along, that they're taking ideas from these major online games and say, well, if they can live with you over there, well, we'll bring you over here and start introducing that, yada, yada, yada. I'm sorry, I don't want World of Warcraft crap in my game. I don't want developers to tell me what I can and can't do with my items. And the thing is, this has been going on for how long, and now we're going to put down a foot and say, okay, now you can't. Okay, yeah, that's somehow supposed to make things even more better now. Go ahead, Lord Chaos. Let's hear from you. I'm upset about it.
I was waiting for you to burst out freedom, something like that. Anyway, I do agree. Arjuna actually more convinced me that that is right. These things should really be tradable. I've been trying to think of any scenario where they shouldn't be, and I can't really find many other than for duping. But that's a separate issue that should be fixed separately. And yes, you're right. You know, if people are running things like museums and stuff like that, people should be able to give these kind of rare event items to museums or display them themselves. And yes, it is a problem that it starts taking up slots on your character and even take up space in your bag. So you get things and it gets under the event items. You know, if you got a robe as a no drop, no trade item, it's going to fill a lot in your backpack all of a sudden, and you can't get rid of it. You can't do anything with it. And if you're already wearing like a robe of the Eclipse or something like that, well, you're basically screwed. And I think that was this whole no drop nothing was first introduced in Everplague, and then it came again in Magwal. And yeah, that's one of the less charming features, I guess. And I really hope they'll reverse that trend. Because yeah, I honestly can't think of any reason why this shouldn't be, in some sense, tradable. There should be maybe some limitations so you don't lose them so easily. But that would simply that's something that should be done to any blessed item. They should simply make them blessed and make it so that blessed items just can't be lost in any easy way, really. You can't just drop it just because you're overweight or anything like that, or people throw too many items in the trade window or other crap like that. So, well, I agree.
Well, and here's another thing is, the thing is, it's not going to be a trend. Okay, I'll give you that. But what you're doing, you're setting precedents for the future, to where you can set rules of exception for other things later down the road. Now, it may not be event items. It could be something else. They can say, well, we did this with event items, we can do this for something else. Because we just set precedents by saying, hey, you know, this is okay. People said this was okay, you know, and by players accepting this, you are in essence saying to the developers, this is okay, you know, we want more of this, you know, or it's okay if you want to do this again in the future. And that's what really upsets me about you know, stuff like this. By allowing and being okay with this, you're telling the developers you want more of this. And, you know, so that's why, at the end of the day, I am just livid about this kind of stuff, because you're telling them it's okay. That's what we are doing here, folks, by saying, okay, I think that's a pretty good move. But when you have freedom over the choices that you can make in the game, such as, for example, what you can trade, what you can not trade, or whatever else. I mean, you can do whatever it is with your items. You know, now let's just say they do this with server birth rares, you know, like your little marble tables and stuff like that, and stuff. I mean, this is not going to sit well with a lot of folks. And what does this do? Who are the people that are collecting these event items, by the way? Who are the people that are collecting these? These are people who are typically rare traders. These are people who are, you know, collectors of rares, or collectors of unique items. And so by them being penalized, once again, which, as we all know here, is that rare collectors have been harmed over and over again. This is just another slap in their face, once again. I used to be a rare collector, believe it or not. And once again, you know, if I was in the rare trading business, like I used to be a long time ago, before they kept reintroducing these kind of unique, you know, these items. For example, I used to have a paintbrush, and then they came out with the interior decoration tool, you know, that looked like the paintbrush. So, I mean, you know, this is how they've hurt the rare traders. You know, the people that had anything that was unique or of value. They said, well, you know, we're going to give people this option to go out and get these things now that look like this other item, you know, rather than making it look different. So, I mean, that's the problem with something like this. This is just another slap in their face. So if you're a rare collector, I do feel for you. So let me tell you that. Once again, another big mistake by the folks over at Electronic Arts. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and go over to our next topic before I get any more upset about it. And the next topic here is, what are your thoughts on the BlackRock skill gain area, and what do you think? What do you know about this, if anything? And will you be sad to see this lead the game? And do you think we might see the return of this again sometime in the future? Do you think this was just a mistake, or you think they put it in there for a reason, or what? I mean, I can't. I don't know. Let's go ahead and start with Arjuna. Let's go. Go ahead.
Thanks. Well, as you know, I did not know about this 5 times the skill chance until you two told me. But I did like the idea of 5 times faster skill gain, because a lot of those skills they're too long to gain. It's kind of like what we talked about in another show. But I went down there. I picked an archer that had 107.2 archery, and I went down there and I fought some of those monsters for a while, and I didn't get any gains. So if it really is improved skill gain, I think it certainly isn't out of hand. I don't have a problem with 5 times more skill gain, because I kind of have a problem with the rate of gain at high levels that there is now.
Yeah. Very good point. Lord Chaos, let's hear from you.
Well, I don't know exactly if it's 5 times increase or whatnot. I haven't tried it myself. But I do know it does increase. At least a lot of people have reported that. So you have to be pretty close to the BlackRock. It's nice. What I don't like about it, of course, is that it's very specific. Only some skills you can gain there, others you can't, and simply because of practical limitations. And with fighting skills, you can really only train if you're pretty high level with pretty good gear, so you can survive on BlackRock monsters. Especially for long enough to really get the gains and not having to run outside the area so you don't get gains anymore. So I don't know. Maybe that was a test too. Maybe they're testing it so in the future you can have places where you can have increased gains to maybe get people to get out more or participate in things that involves a skill, or like blacksmith going to city blacksmith, because maybe there's like a 1.5 increased gain there compared to doing it in your house, or just a minuscule increase, just something, that's maybe something they're testing it for. Who knows? It's interesting to see where it's going to go.
Well, yeah. I'm still thinking about the other topic. But go ahead, Arjuna.
Thanks. Yeah, actually, Lord Chaos, I exactly agree with you. That's what I was actually just thinking. When I went down there to test the skill gains, I saw benches and craftable items and everything littering the ground. And it kind of touched the edge of my mind, but the more I think about it, the more I like the fact that, unfortunately, they were all hidden. But I knew that the whole area was filled with other players doing stuff. One of the things that I like about the BlackRock event is that I spent several days at it, and it's full of people. Even though you can't see them, they're all there, and sometimes they come out and they resurrect each other. And it's this focused area that has a lot of players that are doing their own thing. And they're all there. And sometimes they come out and they talk and they party or whatever, and you get to meet strangers. And I completely agree that this could be an extension, that maybe NPC smith shops give you better chance of smithing, and maybe a certain dungeon gives you better chance of archery gain, and another one of sword gains, or I don't know, things like that, where there's a place where you go and the odds are there's going to be 20 other people there going for the skill game or for the specific item, or and something where each person doesn't interfere with each other. Like, one of the problems with mining right now is that if I dig a spot for a stone, you can't dig a spot for 20 minutes on that spot or whatever it is until it respawns. One of the nice things about mining for BlackRock is you've got about 15 or 30, you've got 30 by 30 grid where everybody's mining and everybody has a chance of it. And so they're not competing. They're actually just doing the same thing in the same place or similar things and getting benefits from it. And I see that as a good thing.
Yeah. Well, my thing is this. I can't believe that this was a mistake. Do you guys think this was a bug, that it just happened to pop up right here, or do you think this was something that was put in intentionally? Or I mean, I'm just kind of wondering at the end of the day, was this intentional by the developers to put this there, or was this a bug? And somehow I get a gut feeling at the end of the day that something tells me that this was put there intentionally. Why? I have no idea, but I don't think it was a good thing. But then again, what do I know? Developers know best, right? Oh, pun intended. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over to our next topic here, and that's going to be about what are your thoughts on the 2005 Christmas gifts being accidentally given out this year, being able to get them along with the gifts they have planned for this year. Because as you know, if you don't know, 2005 Christmas gifts contain the Soulstone fragments. I'm not too happy about that. But let's go ahead and start with Arjuna. Go ahead, Arjuna.
Thanks. Well, actually, I am very grateful that I got more Soulstone fragments. One of the things about the game that I wish it had Soulstones earlier. Every time I have to take a skill and get it to GM, and then because the game changes around me and that skill or that template is no longer good, and I have to drop these skills that I spent 30, 40 or more hours working, sometimes torturously boring, to be able to take it and put it on a stone and now work something else. I mean, to me, there aren't many things better than that, other than maybe nubified rune books or something like that. I mean, Soulstones are essential to sanity, and I'm glad they gave them away.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I feel that eventually those people who have like 30 or 40 Soulstones in their house, which I have seen, by the way, is going to just think about it. There's only 55 skills. So in essence, if you really wanted to, you could get all 55 skills and just swap them in and out, right? I don't know if I like that idea. Lord Chaos, let's hear from you.
I completely lost the train of thought here. What's the topic again?
About the Christmas gifts for 2005 along with this year's.
Oh, right. I got distracted. Totally lost the train of thought. Well, if anybody want to buy Soulstone fragments, I got a couple of hundred on each shop. Anyway, damn, I should sell them. I don't really mind it. The only thing I do mind about it is that it just fills up our carriages even more. I really wish we had some way to better store these gifts we're getting. It's because it's beginning to be quite a nightmare. Other than that, I don't really mind it. I don't know, the Soulstone fragments, I don't see a problem with people getting them. And giving us double gifts, and I don't mind that either, so I think it's okay. And the excuse for accidentally putting in the wrong ones is plausible and kind of funny, so yeah, I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny how they keep making these same mistakes over and over and over again. It's like they don't. It's like you always find these little mistakes in there where And most of these mistakes are just careless mistakes, where, they overlook something and it's like, oh, oops, well, oh well. It's like they just throw up their hands and walk away from it rather than fixing the problem, which they accidentally made. And here's the thing that bothers me is that they said, that there wouldn't be no more Soulstone, after, the little promotion, I think it was with Samurai Empire. Then they came up, I think we had the blue, we had the green, we had the blue, and I think now we have the red Soulstone, and then, then we have the Soulstone fragments. It's like Soulstone, 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 and I'm like, get rid of it. It's bad for the game. I mean, you're keeping skill points in the game. I mean, think about it, folks. If somebody gets 55 of these things filled up in their house, there ain't going to be no need to play the game, because all they're going to have to do is just go, well, I only need one character, and I think I will just go to my little house over here, swap out this skill and pop in this skill, and then, it just be like that, it will be real simple. And they'll have all them skills to choose from, all 55, all GM'd or whatever it is, Grandmaster, Legendary, or whatever. I don't know if you can put Legendary in there, but it wouldn't surprise me if you could, so it's just getting ridiculous at the end of the day. Lord Chaos, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't mind if a player really goes out and gets power scrolls for every last skill on that one character they have. I don't mind them being able to swap off their skills. It's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, because it's only between their own accounts. Yes, they could in theory make a whole skill library for the characters, but they've already trained them, and they can't use it on another account. So I see the limitations being more than adequate to prevent any kind of real abuse of this. As for the Soulstone commercial, yeah, they did kind of promise it'll never come again, but sometimes you just have to realize that you did something stupid, and they did, and Soulstones definitely should not have been introduced and then never come back. That would have been abusive, because then it would have only a small handful of people that could do it. But right now, anybody has the opportunity to do so. So I really don't mind it in the current setting of UO. I think it's good and okay, especially if UOKR gives the expansions to the interface and how the game works and makes it more intuitive. Then I don't think Soulstones is really going to be all that big of a deal in any sense, really. I know it upsets people that want to have, get 10 million gold for the Soulstone or thing like that, but, things comes and goes in rarity and value, There's plenty of other things they can make money on. So, hey, to those guys, get over it, please.
Yeah. Well, my at the end of the day, I'm just not very, because, in EVE Online, you never drop skills or whatever, but at least you can lose them. Whereas in this game, you can't even lose your skill points or anything. There is no kind of penalty or anything of that nature. I could understand if you maybe got back 95% of your skills that you put into it, or if you got back 90% or you got 80% or something like that. But to get it all back, that's just what I don't buy. But, it's not going to change, and the thing is, not only did they do it once, they did it twice, but they did it a third time. They said they wasn't going to introduce these again. It was the green Soulstone first, and then that's when they said they was never going to do it again. Then they came out with the blue, and then they came out with the red. So, talk about broken promise. They not only did it once, but twice, that's just like adding insult to injury, in a lot of cases. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic here. And let's talk about the UO Herald website. Are you looking forward to the new UO Herald website? Or should I say the UO Herald website because it hasn't even come out yet, so I don't know why I say new. And do you think it will be any way as impressive as the Japanese UO website? I don't know how many of you people out there who are listening to the show right now have looked at the Japanese website for Ultima Online. But my question is, do you think it's going to be all that impressive? Do you think it's going to be better than the one we have now? Do you think it's going to be better than the Japanese website? Go ahead, Lord Chaos, and while you are doing that, I'm going to be digging up the Japanese website.
Well, I haven't seen the Japanese website, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to understand what the heck they're saying. So I don't know how their content is. Even if their design is better, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have better content, because they could be a great design, but they write jibber jabber there, And I guess you will have different areas around the world where they just do some things better, or they just have people who are able to do it better, or it fits their culture better than ours. That happens. You'll see a distinct difference between each area. You see that in other games as well. Like in Lineage 2, they have many different areas that have different sites, and they have many totally different things on their site and do it much differently, and that's cool. As for this, how it's going to be here in the West, I would like to say that I have a bunch of faith in it, but I don't know. They couldn't even get the 9th age out to everybody in Europe, so I don't have particularly much faith in anything that goes on outside UO when dealing with EA, and even Mythic. I'm sorry, Jeremy, but you guys kind of have to prove yourself a little bit more before I start having this great faith in what's going to come up. Heck, even the UO store, oh great, you have a UO store, but it's Americans only. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, we got a bunch of commercial for that, and we just told we can bugger off because we're not Americans. That's nice. So, I don't know. I can hope it becomes something, but I would really rather see them that they do it somehow in context of their official site. And that even, yes, Viceroy, I know you don't like having on Stratix, etc., but that goes in regard to whether or not it's on Stratix or not. Anywhere they have it, it will be an idea to build this into to that site. I'll just use Stratix as an example. It would be a great idea for them to simply help build it into the Herald and news there instead. That would be much better instead of spending a lot of energy on a different side. Other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, that's a good point that you put up there and everything. What I'm kind of hoping to see out of this UO Herald website is an RSS feed. I don't know how many of you guys out there use RSS feeds. But I know I love to use those RSS feeds for getting news. I don't really go to the websites too much anymore. I hardly ever go to the UO.com website because it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? So ugly. I'm tired of seeing that same old website after 7 or 8 years or whatever. It's been there forever. And, I'm tired of looking at the website. I'm tired of looking at Stratix website. Stratix website's been the same forever as well. And it's just like, those sites need a facelift. So I'm definitely looking forward to UO Herald. It'll definitely be something different, something, something that's not mundane and the same old thing, it'll give some revitalization to the game whenever I go there, and hopefully it'll represent UOKR pretty well as well. Because you're talking about Kingdom Reborn, we're also talking about Website Reborn. So hopefully they get the new website out before UOKR. That would be awesome. And definitely looking. I hope they have an RSS feed. Definitely. Go ahead, Arjuna.
Thanks. I know that they plan to, have web designers and make the new UO Herald website something pretty to look at. I don't personally care about pretty to look at. I know that upper management likes pretty to look at and Flash and all that kind of stuff. But that's not why I go to a website. I don't go to a website to look at that. If I want to see something cool to look at, I'll watch a movie or something. But what I do care about is content, and what takes me to a website is trying to learn something or to hear either good stories or to learn about my characters. The same way that one of the weaknesses in the game is that you don't know about your own character. You can be 120 skill in something and have no clue that you had this spell all along that does this one thing, and oh, that does that. You mean I would have been better off knowing that? And UO.com, it doesn't even mention the new woods. It doesn't, not in detail. It doesn't. Everything that it has is years old, and you can't learn about your own skills and you can't learn about your own characters at the UO.com website. One of the things that they said recently that they want to do with UO Herald is make it where you can actually look up your skills or look up how to do stuff. Great. Because one of the things about Stratix is that it's written by players. Well, one of the problems is that, there are players who go to the trouble of hitting something 100 times and writing it down and using a calculator and figuring out what they think the percentage is. And I know that, for example, when they came out with the eval plus the nat plus 20 divided by 2 formula, I had figured out something empirically like that before that. But if the UO Herald is going to finally start telling us stuff and giving us calculators and giving us things and explanations about spells, and at this level it does that, and at that level it does this. If it does that, great. And I don't care anything about the aesthetics. I just want it to have information. And if it has it, great, and I'm happy for it. Yeah.
Well, looking at the Japanese website and looking at our website, I really like the looks of the Japanese website, even though I can't read it. I mean, it's just more flashier, I guess. But you do make a point, Arjuna. Content's really what it's all about, and also, anything different from what we got now is going to be a good thing. So definitely, UO Herald, I'm definitely looking forward to the UO Herald website. It's going to be interesting to see what changes come about with it, what the user interface on the UO Herald website is going to be like and what information we can derive from it. That's what's going to be really key to, getting people to visit that website and stuff like that. And hopefully, they won't have outdated content on the website. Like for years and years, I believe they had the little banner for Ultima Online Samurai Empire up there, even though it's under UOML. I slammed DA about that. I was like, man, we still got the UOSE, banner up there on the webpage, and we are in UOML. Yeah. But anyways, let's go ahead and go over to our next topic, to our last, I think it's going to be the last topic for the day. We're going to be talking about the interview which Aaron Cohen had with MMORPG.com. Have any of you guys read about that interview? And if so, what were your thoughts on the interview? Lord Chaos.
Well, I'm going to be sorry to say that no, I haven't read it, and I don't think Arjuna has read it either, so that's going to be a rather short conversation. Do you have any kind of highlights you want to bring out that we can talk about?
Actually, I'm going to dig up the link for you guys, and you guys can read it along with me and everything, and I'll read it here on air, just give you guys some idea as to what all is going on. and I'm digging up that link for you guys right now. Alright, so here's the link over in the IRC chat and everything. Let me put it over here in the little window for you guys. Alright, so this is the interview with, let's see, Aaron Cohan and everything, and I'm going to basically, in case you don't know who Aaron Cohan is, he's the producer for Ultima Online, and so I'm going to read the interview over on MMORPG.com, and I'll just read it for you guys. How about that?
You didn't give me the link here.
Well, it's over in the IRC. But let's see. Yeah. The producer of Ultima Online answers questions on the game's past, present, future, and EA Mythic's role. Aaron Cohan is the producer of Ultima Online. With the announcement of Electronic Arts buying Mythic, the MMO vets have been lending experience to the grandfather of all games, and the young development team at EA is hard at work putting their stamp on this game. We spoke to Aaron about it. MMORPG.com asks Aaron Cohan, Ultima Online is approaching a decade old, yet it seems that seems to be going strong. Can you talk to us a bit about the health of the game over the last few years? And Aaron Cohan responded by saying, Ultima Online is quite a healthy game and it has with a very passionate community. It's outlived quite a number of newer MMORPGs, most of which launched with bigger budgets, better graphics, and a long list of world-changing features that never quite changed the world. It is amazing to read emails and old message boards archives from 6 or 7 years ago, because it seems like almost every year of UO's existence there were predictions of doom. With each new MMORPG, experts tried to set out an end date for the Ultima franchise. Yet every time the experts were wrong. And yes, the subscriber base has grown smaller over the past 3 years and have many MMORPGs. I am proud to say that UO maintains a spot at the top 10 in North America and the top 3 in Japan. I also think that concerns for UO's health will soon become a thing of the past. If the early response to Kingdom Reborn are any measure, I think it's safe to say that 2007 will be a good year for Ultima Online. Alright, so, just reading that first paragraph, I kind of want to hear what your thoughts on about that, Arjuna. Go ahead.
Thanks. Well, in fact, he even overlooked the fact that Ultima is probably approaching 26 years old now. I started in 1981 or 82. I think it was 81, but it's hard to remember that far back. And, there are a lot of us who have been fans of this game for way longer than it was online. And that just because it's been online a decade, people are saying that, oh my gosh, it's 10 years old. Well, you know what? Doctor Who is the oldest running sci-fi series and has been running, gosh, how long? Way over 30 years, I think. And so what if not everybody watches it? But the thing has had fans for a long time, just like Ultima has had fans for a long time. I have no interest in these other online games that come on. I've said before, the only online games I might consider trying would be the ones related to what I used to like in the early days, Wasteland and, all that kind of stuff. And so he's right that it's got a passionate community, it's got passionate fans and community. He's speaking the obvious. He's preaching to the choir. Maybe the person who was doing the interviewing didn't understand that, but Ultima is a lot more than today. Ultima is something you grow up into. It's something that you are lucky if you're part of.
Yeah, I have to agree with you to some extent on that. I mean, I know I've spent over, I've been playing this game for about 9 years. I am now 25. That's 1/3 of my life right there. Lord Chaos, go ahead.
Oh, I totally agree that UO has a history, and yeah, it is like an ancient series, like one of the first that came out. Like you said, Doctor Who, that is the oldest sci-fi series that has run up to today. But of course, just like that, you need to have renewals to keep things alive. And hopefully with UOKR they'll do that. And yes, UO still maintains a strong presence, even though I think that's half and half. A good, solid, long-running success for UO, but also that it's more attributed to the failure of other morgues, and not just UO. UO has just been very persistent, which is great, which really speaks for its core, its groups, its followers, what kind of a solid game it is. I mean, it's been running since 1997, going soon on its 10th year, and that's an amazing feat. And we're even going to make another little feat soon, that if we can just keep the subscribers we have, we're actually going to beat EverQuest again for once, ever since it took over. So I think that's telling a lot, that we are going to beat the upstart that beat UO way back then again, simply because we just persevered longer than they did.
Yeah, I think EverQuest shot themselves in the foot whenever they made the sequel to EverQuest, and by making EverQuest 2. So I'm glad Ultima Online didn't pursue Ultima Online 2. So let me go ahead and read on the next paragraph here in this interview, the next question here. MMORPG.com asks, UO was many people's, including my own, first MMO. With so many people being ex-players, what efforts are underway to convince them to return? And Aaron Cohen responds by saying that effort would be Kingdom Reborn, a complete rebuilding of Ultima Online with a new graphics engine, a new user interface, and an overhauled new player experience, and some much-needed gameplay and balance tweaks. Over time, Ultima Online has remained a deep, satisfying RPG, but it has grown more inaccessible with age. Mostly, the graphics began to look more and more dated, and the user interface more and more obtuse. It goes on by saying, also, the veteran players began to lose hope that Ultima Online had a future with the newer MMORPGs coming out. And with EA announcing that canceling plans to launch Ultima X Odyssey, the message to the fans may have appeared to be, UO isn't important to us. The message today should be, Ultima Online is important to EA so much that we are making a significant investment in it. To the folks who left and who are still remembering how much they loved their first MMORPG, I'd like to ask them to stop by and give UO a try after Kingdom is Reborn. So with that said, I want to go back to you guys and get your feedback on this. Arjuna, go ahead.
Well, that almost kind of defends what I said earlier about that. Typically, management style people think that graphics are a lot more important than they really are, and that snazzy things are what make something. And I think he's actually missing part of what his problem is and what Ultima's problem is. The other day, I was at Best Buy and I was browsing to see what new, offline games there are. And there was this lady, and she's asking one of the Best Buy employees, she's like, we tried this online game, and she mentioned something, and, but we can't, I'm on dial-up, and I can't really play it, and I'm looking for something that I can play, and, I'm looking on the shelves, and Ultima Online is not on the shelves. So the guy's, saying, well, why don't you try this online game, or something like that? And I don't usually speak up at stores, but I said to this lady, I said, well, why don't you try Ultima Online? I said, I know a lot of people that play on modems, and it's a great game. I've been playing it for, I said something like 7-8 years, something like that. And they both looked at me funny, and she went on to pick something from the shelves. there's no presence, and that's their problem. The problem is not the graphics. The problem is that when people are in the market for a game, Ultima Online is not even on the list of choices. And I said to her, I said, you could buy it online for $15 or $20, but no, she picked something there on the shelf. So, all right, I love that they're going to do the new graphics. I agree it knocks your socks off when you look at it, great. But if it isn't on the list of things to get, what good is it?
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Definitely, if they're going to roll out UOKR with a huge success, they better get their distribution sorted out before next year, and they better, get a shelf presence in the stores and everything. Because if UOKR is supposed to be the next big thing for Ultima Online, well, then they better prove it by having good distribution methods, and they better have a store presence. But I think everybody could pretty much agree with that. Otherwise, the popularity of UOKR just is not going to be there. It's not going to be as good of a hit that they are hoping for. Get the biggest bang for your buck and go all out with this. UOKR is, the what's the word I'm looking for? Is like the next big thing for Ultima Online. Well, show us it. Prove it. Lord Chaos, go ahead.
Well, definitely. This is one place where EA needs to learn from McWow, and they need to do it. And that is marketing. For God's sake, people, learn marketing. They know how to market, and that's a prime reason why WoW is so successful. They know how to market the darn game. EA doesn't do that with UO, and it's sad. Most people have no idea what it is, and those people who have persevered over the time are people who know what Ultima is. Most modern days today, most people today that play computer games don't know what Ultima is. I bet you could find more people who know who Leroy Jenkins is than you'll find people who know what Ultima is. That's just how things are now. So this really needs to get out, and it also brings you to an idea I brought up a while back, which had an okay response to, and that is to get more boxes out and move away from the whole limiting a box to a specific expansion. I mean, if you have a box up, and they should make them really, really good-looking boxes, make these boxes and make it so that the codes inside are forever. They're not just tied to the expansion. They should be tied to whenever you use that code, you get a current and up-to-date game. You shouldn't have to, if you find UOSE and that's the only game that's there, you shouldn't have to go out and buy UOML as well. When you go and apply the code, you should get the most newest expansion that's there. This would also, and you could even do the same thing with Anniversary Edition. I mean, if people have already paid for it, then who cares if they use it on the 9th Anniversary Edition or the 10th Anniversary Edition? Who cares? The good thing about this is that you then have something that is valuable for the retailers, because a lot of the time they don't want to have UO on the shelves because UO gets outdated, so they have to throw away the boxes or sell them for like $5 or something like that because they become outdated. This way they'll never become outdated. So you could in theory, let's say we go 10 years down the line, then you could still sell a UOML package for the same price because it's still just as valuable. It's just a different package. That's about it. I think it would be a lot better idea than this constant upgrading race and forcing stores to throw them in the bargain bin to get rid of them, if they even can get rid of them. There are even stores that just throw them away or give them away. So marketing, and changing these things and get more information out to people of what the game is, that's what UO needs.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Whenever I went out and bought it, my last copy of Ultima Online, which was Ultima Online Gold Edition, you guys might remember that. It was about a year ago or something like that, or 2 years ago. I don't remember. It was about a little over a year ago. Well, I went to Walmart. I went and purchased myself a copy of Ultima Online Gold. And guess what I saw on the shelf when I found it? There was about maybe 2 or 3 copies of it, and all it was the jewel case. The jewel case by itself. It wasn't no box or instructions or anything like that. It was just a jewel case with a price tag on it. And I was like, huh. So this is supposed to, somehow stand out and make me think that this is a game I ought to try playing and stuff like that. Yeah. It didn't even have a box. Go ahead, Arjuna. Let's hear from you.
Well, I also want to say I agree that it personally breaks my heart every time a returning player comes back or someone goes and buys a game. They've just paid $20 or $30 for Ultima Online. They're making their character, they're learning it, and then they ask about things like the elf stuff or whatever, and then I tell them, what version are you? And they say 8th anniversary or whatever. I'm like, oh, you can't do that. You need to buy Mondane's Legacy. And they have to spend another $30 or $20. And every time, that happened like 3 times in the last year. Every time that happens, that breaks my heart. And Lord Chaos is right. I have boxes and boxes and CDs of Ultima Online. And I remember one time I wanted another account. So I grabbed one of mine and I forgot which was the newest one. And I installed the wrong one and I started playing my character and I was like, oh, I accidentally installed an old one, and now I need an upgrade code in order to have access to everything or to customize, and it just drives me nuts. I pay, they pay, and recently, and so you're right. I mean, that is a big problem, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. But here's another thing is that maybe after so long they ought to just give it out for free. Because really at the end of the day, they're not going to make their money from selling expansions or whatever, selling copies of, it's not even really about the CD. Really, if they could just go and buy the code or somewhere at the store. Some people are going to want the CD because they're on dial-up, like, which Arjuna referred to and stuff like that. But when you get the CD and everything, you shouldn't have, hundreds and hundreds of patches, even with the latest CD or whatever. So, I don't know how many times I got out and bought the latest CD and had hundreds and hundreds of patches still to go through, and it's like, dude, I just feel for the people on dial-up, that have to go through them hundreds and hundreds of patches. But, here's the thing, at the end of the day, it's just like, a lot of people just want the code, and a lot of people think they have to have the CD, especially the ones who already have Ultima Online accounts, that they have to have the CD in order to get the codes. In a lot of cases, they can just go to uocodes.com and purchase their codes from there, and get them in their email, right away without having to pay the shipping costs and stuff like that, which is good. I think really online retail is going to be the way to go, especially if you can just purchase the code over the internet or something like that and get everything you need. I like that method a lot better, but I still say there ought to be some kind of noticeable store shelf presence or whatever, even if it's just 1 box or 2 boxes up there. But go ahead, Lord Chaos.
Well, yes, definitely. The thing about now I'm losing track of my own thoughts again. The thing about later expansion, I don't think we could do it retroactively, but what I think they need to do about when they're doing an expansion or anniversary and whatnot, and is they need to just sell the codes. just allow people to just upgrade and buy the codes. I mean, yes, we should of course still pay for the damn expansions and etc., etc., etc. They want to make their money, and we want to pay for a pixel crack, etc., etc. It's fine, but it needs to be distributable. All this thing about boxes is silly. And let UO have a box presence in the store instead of a store never having UO, because all they're doing is buying for people who need like 10 boxes because they need to get the 9th anniversary. That's silly. You know, what do we need 9 boxes for? What do we need all these boxes for people who already play? I mean, just send it out, and then instead, if there's any kind of new content like maps or something like that, sell it in an online store. Just put it in an online store, expand the online store. Well, you can buy like Juna talked last time, like a gigantic poster of the UO maps. That's fine, buy it online. That way you completely eliminate the need for these boxes. You completely eliminate people going, oh my god, I can't get 9th anniversary edition, oh my god, there's not enough UOML boxes, etc., etc., etc. So sell the codes, set out a proper box presence in all the stores by ensuring that the boxes do not age, and that is by having the codes always go to the newest expansion. And you know, and make sure that the same goes for the anniversary editions, etc., etc., etc. Of course, we'll have to make it so the old codes can't do that. It would be nice if they did, but that would just open a whole can of worms. As for the updating, that really shows you haven't played other MMORPGs, because the amount of updating you have to do in UO is minimal. You should try having to update Vanguard. That's a 22 gigabyte game. Now that is going to take time. Or you try updating Lineage. That's a 6 gigabyte game. Or World of Warcraft, which is just a pile of crap. But no, just kidding. You know, so the little bit of updating they'd have to do because they bought something that's maybe a couple of years out of date, they'll have to download 100 megabytes, but that's certainly better than having to download 5 gigabytes. I can tell you that. So it's not really all that bad. And if people don't have the attention span to wait for that, or just install it before they go to bed or something, well, I don't think we need them in UO anyway.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting to the end of our show and everything, and I just want to quickly let everybody know that we are just about to have our Deal or No Deal, which is coming up here next after the talk show. And if you would like to participate in that, you can go over to Baja, and they are, and so it looks like they're trying to figure out where they're going to be gating from, or because I don't know of the location over on Baja. But as soon as I get that for you, I will let you know where our gator is at on Baja. So definitely you can win up to 10 million gold on the shard of your choice in our Deal or No Deal over on Baja. So definitely stick around for that. And we will be giving the details out for that here shortly. So Arjuna, quickly, let's get to you, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up here.
Thanks. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say that could probably solve all the problems is that, you know how, Viceroy, you mentioned you saw a jewel case, just a CD, and the store presence, and, well, they should make beautiful strategy guides, and in the back of the strategy guide, they should put a CD, and then they should do like Lord Chaos said and let you buy the codes. So, if the store presence could actually be a beautiful 11 by 8 or 12 by 9 strategy guide with maps and pictures, and then the incentive to buy a new CD every upgrade is you get new maps, and the codes will still work whether it's an old one or a new one, but the difference is you've got different maps or different guides, and instead of boxes are pointless. You don't need boxes, but strategy guides with CDs and then codes online, that's the way to go.
Or here's the thing, maybe they can sell the CD with the strategy guide, you know. I think that would be kind of cool. That would give it a more higher profile presence, I would imagine, you know, because those strategy guides are oftentimes pretty big and thick and everything. And they're like, oh, well, strategy guide for Ultima Online. Oh, I wonder what that is. And they start flipping through the book. Oh, it's an MMORPG. And then they're more inclined to play because it's a lot bigger in size and stuff like that. But anyways, let me go ahead and tell you where to meet up at over on Baja, so you guys can attend the Deal or No Deal over on Baja, so you can win up to 10 million gold on the shard of your choice. Go over to the Britain Moongate, and that would be in Trammell. And you're going to be looking for a person by the name of Ergo. That's ERGO at the Britain Moongate, and they will give you further instructions on where to go from there. And you can definitely win up to 10 million gold on the shard of your choice. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up episode number 48 here on UORadio TalkShow. And this is, of course, Saturday, December 9th, 2006, and we are going to go ahead and give each one of our guests an opportunity to say goodbye to you all, you guys. Arjuna, go ahead and say goodbye to everybody out there.
Hi. Thank you, Viceroy and Lord Chaos, for another good evening. So I look forward to maybe again, and I guess Lake Superior is also having a big event, so I'm going to have to go help them on there next. So thanks.
All right, you have a good one, and I hope you have a lot of fun with that event over on Lake Superior. Maybe we'll come over there and join you after we get done with our Deal or No Deal. Let's see, what else? Lord Chaos, go ahead. Say goodbye to everybody out there.
Bye, everybody. And remember, you need to play Hello Kitty Online Adventures. That's the game to be in.
Yeah, that's the game where all trammies need to go and play. I am so mean. But anyways, yeah, I just had to put that little jab in there. But anyways, I am DJ Viceroy right here at MMOGradio.com, and let's see, we are going to go ahead and conclude this. I, of course, play on Chesapeake. So, in the future, I think what we're going to do is if you ever want to give comments on our talk shows and stuff like that, we'll have a telephone phone number which you guys can call in, leave a message, and let us know what you think about the show, give us your feedback, and hey, perhaps we just might play your message on air sometime. How about that? We're going to be looking into that, and we're going to tinker around with those ideals and see what we can do to make that happen. So definitely keep an eye on our website for details on that. That's something I'm toying around in the back of my head. And whether that happens or not, we'll see. More than likely, it probably will happen. I just got to figure out the logistics behind it. So, once again, thank you for tuning in to UORadio's Talk Show number 48. Take care and be safe.
Long ago ran the sun on a folk who had a dream, and the heart, and the will, and the power. They moved earth, they carved stone, molded hill, and channeled stream, that we might stand on the wide plains of Wiltshire. Now men asked who they were, how they built, and wonder why, that they wrought standing stones of such size. What was done neath your shade, what was prayed neath our skies, as we stood on the arid plains of Wiltshire. Oh, what secrets we could tell if you'd listen and be still. Rid the stink and the noise from our skirts. But you haven't got the clue, and perhaps you never will. Mute we stand on the cold plains of Wiltshire. Still we loom in the mist as the ages roll away, and we say of our folk they are here, that they built us and they died, and you'll not be knowing why, save we stand on the bare plains of Wiltshire.